paint splatters, stamping, layering, fussy cutting, a whole lot getting messy with Scrappy Cathy and her friends with this great hop here in March with this amazing layout from Keisha James, where you can see that she has used some inks and some extra messy media. So I'm going to keep pretty close to it and let's get started. I'm using Distress Oxides here to build my background using the packaging technique and some ink splatters and some drops of the wet ink. So I have divided my white background into thirds visually, just as Keisha has on hers, and I'm using the mahogany here. It is the aged mahogany, and that's for the top third of my layout. The next color that I'm going to use, and I'm going to build it so that I have that top border white but the other 2/3 colored. I am using the pickled raspberry, and I love these oxides. You just smoosh it onto the packaging, add in the water, give it a bit of a rub, and there a little bit more water to make it a little bit runny because I do want a few drops in there. And I'm putting those down into the section that I want them to be, and then I'm just going to smooch all of that beautiful rich colour all over the layout down in this bottom corner, and that's allowing that background to be built onto this white cardstock. The last colour that I'm going to use for my layout, and I'm just cleaning up my packaging piece here so that I can do it, is called Rustic Wilderness, and I just love this green. It's a great dark rich green, so I'm going to put that onto the packaging once I've cleaned it a little bit more. And what I actually did there was I dropped the pad, so I had to pick it up, so sorry about that. And then I'm adding in the water, and that's the Distress one that I'm using, and I'm going to put a few drops there, and then I'm going to allow it to run around the layout. And then I'm going to smooch it with the packaging just to move it across that layout. And the best thing about these, you get light and dark patches, which is really, really amazing. Now, normally I would let that dry, and then it would have more detail and more definition to the colouring splatters on it. But due to time factors and getting very late, I am just using my paper towel to dry it off just that little bit. Now, the last thing I'm doing is I've got the, what's it called? The black soot one, and I've added water to it, and using my fan brush here, I'm adding some splatters around those paint spots area just to add that extra dimension to the mixed media. So it is pretty messy, and it has gotten a bit messy, and so I'm just adding in a few bit extras there, just so that I have the splatters as well as those beautiful ink smooching onto that layout. Now that I'm happy how this is done, it's in the thirds like Keisha's layout, I can now get started. So as I said, they're my 3 distress colours that I've used from Tim Holtz, and that makes a big difference to your actual layout. Prepping it for my base, I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off each side, and then I am gutting out the black because I need it to match my photos, and I am going back to the wedding photos. So I'm going to do 2 more for my daughter's album. I come back and hit the album every now and then. As I said, like I had over 3,000 photos to work with for that day, and not one of them is a bad photo. So it is really, really, you know, like I really want to do the bulk of them for her, and so it will be a fair passage of time. I do have one walkthrough already, and I'll put the link above here so that you can go and have a look at that if you're interested. So as I said, I'm matting my photos here with the black, and that's where I have left a bit of a border because I want to use a messy border with the white, and I want to just outline it just a little bit more to lift it off the background, and I'm doing that messy border with a white gel pen. Now this is a white pen that I bought it off Temu, I think. It's great, it's an ink pen, but I do love my Uniball here, which I've gone back over for the second level. and it is messy because it's going over both. So I have a light one and a dark one around that photo, and they make those photos pop. And as I said, these are the wedding photos. This was taken after the ceremony when they're in the wildlife sanctuary, and in the background you can't see them very good until you look up close to the photos. There are little wallaroos in there in the background, and they were coming for a look at my daughter and her husband at that time. So I'm now putting down my base onto my 1-inch frame, and the tape is a little bit gummy today because of the weather. It is quite warm, and it does tend to stick a little bit more with the tape paper. Now, she had candles running down her page, and I didn't want to put candles. I wanted to go with my theme, as this is the wedding one, so I'm putting gold bows. So I'm cutting down strips of the gold bows, and I'm just making them very narrow, and I like the fact that it's on white, and the gold is the highlight, and that works beautifully for my layout because of that white background. And I'm just going to cut some down so that they are different lengths, and then I am going to paste them across the layout just as Kisha has done with hers. And then in between it, I'm going to stamp some crazy stitching so that I get the 9 across the layout like Kisha does. So here's my strips. I do like the look already. You can see that it is going to have that downward stripping down the middle, but it is going to be a little bit different. And I like the fact that that's the whole idea of scrap lifting somebody. You take the key points that you like and then you make it yours. So I'm just going to spread them out evenly across the layout here. I don't want them too wide, but I don't want it to not have enough space for me to stamp in between. And I do like that effect across there with that mixed media. That looks pretty effective. So I have them, as I said, messy stamp, which is the stitching, and I am doing the double stitching all the way down. I'm not going the full length here. I am doing partials of the length. So they go in between the layering of the bows, and that adds that an extra point of interest, and that's another mixed media onto the layout. So I've used distress inks to do the smooching with the packaging technique. I've used the inks to do ink splatters, and now I'm stamping onto the layout as well. So it really is fun to get messy with the mixed media and challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone. So please have a go. Have a look at what everybody else is doing. There will be a list down below of all the other players along this month. If you haven't already done so, go and check out Scrappy Cathy. She is amazing. She is very inspirational, and she has lots and lots of mixed media layouts for you to follow and look at. And also, so do a lot of the other girls playing along. So it's always nice to go and check out what other people are doing. There's my 2 photos in place, and I've done a whole lot of fussy cutting, which I'm going to build my embellishments to the side, pretty much to mirror what Kisha has done on hers, so that where she's got tucks in, I've got tucks. Where she's got higher reaching on the clusters, that's where my flowers will reach higher or lower, and that's just depending on the placement. I'm also adding in some colour with coloured printables and colour cutouts, because they are also going to be the colours that mimic those inks behind, and that's pretty much what Kisha did with hers as well. She married her embellishments to the colours of her inks, and that's what I have tried to do as in this layout, whilst keeping it pretty formal for the wedding theme that it's related to. So I like how this is coming together. I love the mix of the black and the white with the colours. And that's just forming a really nice mix on this layout. As I said, this bottom corner here, I'm going down with length like Kisha had on hers to extend the eye down to the corner, and then I'm just tucking in all the little extra bits to fill it off and fix in those clusters. So I have got some hearts. So this is a green to go into the green section. This is a green camera, which I'm going to have in the green section. I'm layering another heart here, and it's going to connect in the middle, just like Kisha had in hers, and this one's a pink, so it's drawing your eye across to that pink section. So I've got the green and the pink marrying there, which means they're bleeding into each other, which is what the ink has done. I've got the darker red for that top mahogany area there, and I love how all of these are just complementing beautifully. Now that little heart I move around a little bit just till I'm happy with where it finally sits. You'll see me move it a few times before I'm happy. I also have these little quotes about love and so forth that I am putting down here just as Kisha has on hers. She has hers as a stamped black and white image. I've used the colour to reinforce the colours of those inks and just to build more depth to the structure of the layers there. And I'm really liking how this has come together. I'm just layering it up, and as I said, I move these little hearts around a bit till I'm happy with the final outcome. I did contemplate putting in this banner title, and I could have been looking at that now, have it sitting there, but when I was doing it, I thought, no, it takes away too much from that bottom, and I don't want it too heavy because my photos are larger than the ones Kisha used. So I'm just adding in some little gold enamel squares here. These are just to add that little bit of extra colour and the formality to it because of the wedding theme. And I'm placing those around the layout, and I'm making sure that I have an odd number, because you know I'm all about the odds. And then to finish it off, I contemplate using popping a bow, but then I decide not to do that. And my last thing, I'm looking at whether I'm going to add any more to it, do anything else. But I actually end up just deciding that a little bit of pearl nouveaux, you know my signature, they need to go in around the clusters. So I'm setting up my visual triangle with those pearl dots to draw your eyes around the photos, and now the photos are your focus subconsciously because the nouveaux are actually drawing you around the page. So here's my layout, my take on the one we're lifting this month. I hope I've done something here that inspires you to give me a thumbs up, but also inspires you to have a go. I really like how the colours complement each other. I love how they blend with those photos from that very special day in my daughter's life. And I'm pleased with this. Another page for the album completed, or the second album. And I'm sure she's going to like that layout as well. So thank you once again for watching, everybody. As I said, I hope you are inspired to have a go. Don't be afraid of mixed media. Here's the layout in its full colour in bright daylight. It is just gorgeous. It picks up the colours of those photos, and it really does emphasise the beauty of that moment. So have a go. Don't be afraid of mixed media. Packaging is a great way to start with your mixed media and having a go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy scrapping till next time. Here's my next video for you, and I'll see you there.